Yeah.
So one of the reasons we brought you up today is people might not know that you've got a connection to Clemson that is pretty unique. I mean, not a lot of people can say what you can say about this.
Well, I know Drew McCabe, the world's biggest Clemson fan. That's one thing. Now, when I was in Clemson, I used to be the Clemson Tiger mascot, and believe it or not, you hear people say back in my day. Well, back in my day, I did the whole game and did all the push-ups. Now the kids split them. So because of that, for the 3 seasons I did it with Nealon Green as our quarterback, I do have the most career push-ups at Clemson history. How about them apples? Huh?
That's awesome. A round of applause for Michael Bass.
We can have a push-up contest after our race out there. I'll probably lose that as well.
No, you'll probably win that. I can't do that.
No, I try.
The problem is I try to do push-ups with a beer in my hand. It just doesn't work.
It's the one arms like Rocky, you know?
That clearly doesn't work. And by the way, it's a beer in both hands, but go ahead.
Oh, there you go. Double fisting. Work out both arms. But yeah, so it's nice to be here with Don speaking. Shall we introduce Don?
You know what? Since you have this connection and you are, in my heart, the Tiger mascot, how about you introduce Don for us? Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Michael Bass.
Oh my gosh, he let me hold the mic.
He needs a moment just to say, oh.
Hey, do you want to sit next to Charles?
No, I don't.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty cool. Okay, so Don Munson, he's a very familiar name to Tiger fans because his involvement with Clemson Radio Network for 20 of the last 22 years. Now, originally hired in 2010, Don now serves as the play-by-play broadcaster for Clemson football and baseball. And additionally, he hosts the weekly football and basketball coaches show, which I love on Sunday mornings. He works in conjunction with the video and communication departments to provide assistance with video features. He hosts banquets and meetings and represents the Clemson Athletic Department at various functions. Now, Don arrived, he covered Clemson athletics since 1994. That's back when I started as the mascot, so Don and I have gone way back. When he first joined the network as the network's football pregame, halftime, and the fifth quarter show host. In 95, he moved into the full-time position with the Clemson Sports Network as an on-air host and affiliate relations manager. And in 97, he was named the operations manager and became a part of the basketball program broadcasts as pregame, halftime, and locker room reporter. Great trips we had with Rick Barnes, wasn't it? Good memories. And in 2003, he joined the radio network as host of the Tiger Tailgate Show and the Fifth Quarter Show. When Jim Phillips passed away in September of 2003, he assumed duties as the host of Tiger Calls and play-by-play announcer for the women's basketball and baseball. Don is a 1984 graduate of the Appalachian State University with a BS degree in communications. I'd like to introduce a good, close, personal friend of mine. Please welcome Don Munson.
Well, I appreciate you all having me here today. Like Michael and I have gone back a long ways. The closest I ever came to dying on an airplane was probably with him and Michael. I don't know if you remember going out to Kansas City. We were flying out of Greenville on our way to Atlanta, then catching a flight down to over to Kansas City for first-round action in the NCAA tournament in 1997. And we got caught in a jet wash coming into Atlanta, and literally the plane is flying then like this, and the next thing I know, it's like this. And we're about 2,000 feet off the ground or something like that. It didn't stay that way long. It just seemed like it went like that and then went back up. But I never will forget the lady that was sitting beside me who had nothing to do with Clemson, but sitting beside me, she grabbed hold of my arm, just started screaming. And so it was one of those moments, I had no idea who this lady was. Just had to put your arm around him. Comfort, ma'am, it's going to be just fine. We're gonna make it to the ground. It's going to be just fine. But we did have some cheerleaders that actually were with us. That was as far as they went. They went to Atlanta, called friends, and said, "Come pick me up. I'm not going any further." So they stopped right there. Going to tell you a little bit about kind of the way that people always want to take an insight and try to figure out how Dabo Swinney has been able to do what he's been able to do at Clemson. So this isn't really tech-minded, but believe me, it is very business-oriented. Because Coach Swinney, if you may not know, before he showed up in 2003 at Clemson, was actually in the business field. He was a guy that was head of construction projects. Matter of fact, he's done several projects that were done here in the Greenville area. Most notably, if you go to Anderson, you get off on exit 19, you head into Anderson. There's a big mall that is over there to the right-hand side, about a mile down the road. Well, Coach was the head of all that. He was doing that project, as a matter of fact, in 2002 when he decided to take a drive over to Clemson, and he actually called Kathleen, his wife, and said, "You'll never guess where I'm at. I'm here at the top of the hill. I'm looking right at Howard's Rock." He said, "This place is pretty cool. You know, I'd like to be able to see a game in here one day." Well, little did he know that in 2003, Tommy Bowden was going to hire him, bring him in as wide receivers coach, and then, of course, Coach Swinney took over midway through the 08 season. Then on December 2nd of 2008 was handed the full-time duties as head coach and has just taken off with it ever since. But one of the great things that Coach Swinney always talks about, and I think it's important really in anything as you do it, and to me has been one of the keys that I've tried to carry with me. This is something that my dad and my mother tried to pass along to me as a small child, and then going through teenage years, college, getting married right out of college, and raising a family. That's attitude. That is just simply attitude. How you get up and approach each and every day. Coach Swinney introduced me to this thing I'm going to read to you. It was done by Charles Swindoll. If you don't know who Chuck Swindoll is a minister, was in the Dallas area, has a very large ministry that is there, also has a radio and television ministry. But one of the things that you find out always about when you see Chuck or read anything that he may have written, he's authored, I don't know how many books, but probably close to 100 books. But Swindoll is a big believer in just your attitude and how you approach things day to day. He's quoted as saying, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than the facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It'll make or break a company." Now, it will make or break a company. It will. It will absolutely do that. And it's one of the things that Coach Swinney always talks about with his guys. He talks about it almost every day. Guys, it's your attitude. It's how you approach this. It's going to make us or break us. But it will. It'll make or break a company. It'll make or break a church, a home. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude that we'll embrace for that day. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing that we can do is play on the one string that we have, and that's our attitude. This is my favorite thing maybe that Chuck Swindoll has ever said. "I'm convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% how I react to it." And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. And that is absolutely, I believe that, absolutely 100%. We are in charge of our attitudes. It's one of the things that when I went to work, I actually worked on Coach Swinney's staff starting in July of 2010 and served with him. He used to call me his handler. I was in charge of the marketing and messaging as part of the support staff for Clemson football, with helping with his speaking engagements, controlling his calendar. On game day, it was my responsibility to keep him on task from the moment that he stepped off the bus and we went through Tiger Walk at Clemson, where they walk through a big parking lot and then get into the West Zone. We get there, he gets there about 2 hours and 15 minutes before kickoff. So once he was stepped off the bus, it was my task to keep him on task, which, believe me, was no easy thing. It was not. Always trying to operate about 60 seconds ahead of him. Stay in 60. All right, we got to be here. We got to do this. You got to meet this person. You got to talk to recruits at this time. So it was, and we, at first, it was trying to figure each other out. Now we know each other like the back of our hands. I still handle all of his email. It's one of the things that even when I left his staff now almost 3 years ago, we have just developed such a rapport that I still handle all the email for the man. But he's got 3 basic criteria that he wants to see from his football players. One, he always wants to see great effort. Great effort in his mind equals consistency and confidence. If you can have a player that is playing with consistency and confidence, then he's giving you great effort. He always is very concerned about the intensity of a player. And intensity, as he sees it, is really more about concentration. As he likes to say, do your job. Just do your job. Don't try to do somebody else's job. Do your job. And if everybody does their job, if all 11 guys on the field at that time do their job, we're going to be pretty successful. Didn't happen in the national championship. We had about 6 to 8 plays where somebody didn't do their job. A couple of times somebody was trying to do somebody else's job, and it hurt because they were trying to do two men's job. You can't do that. You got to do your job. And then try to support the other person, but make sure that they're also doing their job as well. The other thing that he wants to see is aggressiveness. He wants his players to be physical. It's one of the things that I think that he's really brought back to Clemson football, is that there is even though there's this, on offense, this spread option attack where you've got wide receivers 4 wide sometimes and you've got motion that's going on. But the thing that you've really seen here that has helped us bring us to the forefront is just the physical style and the physical nature now of football at Clemson, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but certainly over on the defensive side of the ball. One of the things that he is always telling his players, hey, we can't all be great players, but we can all want to be great players. And I think that's true also in business. You know what? You may not be the best salesman. And sometimes that's just reality, all right? You may not be the technician. I looked over here and I was looking at AV and cabling solutions. You look at that, and I'm going to guess as you kind of look at that, maybe done in alphabetical order, but believe me, for most of my life in broadcasting, I have dealt with audiovisual and cabling solutions. Believe me, there's nothing worse than a rat's nest. Absolutely nothing worse than a rat's nest. And the way to see that the business has changed since when I first came on board and started broadcasting, my first job was in Boone, North Carolina. Was hired as a sports director for the radio station in Boone, North Carolina in June of 1984, and paid $210 a week. Woohoo! Right out of college. $210 a week. Married. I'd just gotten married. I got married without a job. Wouldn't recommend that to folks, but I got married without a job. Wife and I went off on a 2-week honeymoon. She still had another year to go at Appalachian. She was going on a full ride, a full academic ride. Believe me, I outkicked my coverage by a ton. As far as that, we've been married now 32 years, have one daughter. But when I went to work in 1984, the way that you got broadcast were these things called radio loops. None of you have a single idea what a radio loop, but the way that you would do it is an away broadcast. There would literally be from old Ma Bell, from old Southern Bell back in those days, there would be this line that was stripped. So it was just a piece of copper that was on the one side, and then it obviously was covered from there. But you would take that piece and you would plug it into the back of your equipment, and that radio loop would actually carry your voice signal back to your radio station. You had no communication, though, between you and the radio station. You just had to be on time, and you hoped they were on time. Everything was timed. You carried a stopwatch with you, and all right, we're going to go on at 8 o'clock. You make sure that, all right, could give me a little bit of a countdown, and then you would, all right, 10 minutes prior to, and then once you got there, off you would start to go. Commercial breaks were either like 60 seconds, which you usually always gave them 63. If it was 90 seconds, you gave them 95, and you went from there. And everything was just done like that. All right? You just had to believe that the other person on the other end was doing their job and that you were doing your job. And then after everything was over and you got finished the broadcast, you would usually call back, okay, did you get that? Did you get that? Yeah, all right, good. All right, everybody got that. So that was the way it was, and it's not that way anymore. Now we do it. Basically, all of our broadcasts, including what we currently do at Clemson, are carried over the internet. We hook in to an Ethernet cable there at the stadium, have the equipment then that takes all that, sends it. Our broadcasts go to Jefferson City, Missouri, which is the home base of where Learfield Communications is, the group that actually owns the television and radio rights at Clemson. So it goes from the stadium through the Ethernet cable to Learfield to satellite. Then it's back down to all the stations, and it's amazing. All that happens in less than a second. People in stadium can listen to me, and I'm about a second behind the play. Occasionally, I'll get an email, hey, do you know that you're about a second off? Do you know that you're about a second behind? Really? Well, let me tell you how far that signal travels, okay? Let me just tell you, it's amazing. It's going almost 1,000 miles. and it's happening in less than a second. Video now is something totally different. And I was telling the guys at the table during lunch, you know, how do you hook up? I always get this question: how do you hook up radio and what you're watching at home? How can you get them synced? Because everybody's always, it's fairly easy now. An HD signal is delayed by anywhere from about 7 to 9, sometimes as many as 11 seconds from the actual event to what you're actually seeing at your house. Just because, one, of the distance that it's traveling. Now, you know, television is even different because television goes from Clemson, let's say we're at Clemson, so it goes from Death Valley, it goes to the truck, then it goes to satellite, which beams it back down, if it's, say, an ESPN game, go back down to Bristol, Bristol, Connecticut. From there, it goes through whatever compression it has to in Bristol, goes back to another satellite, goes up to the bird, and then is sent out from the satellite, which then comes in either to your dish or your DirecTV or your cable system, and then goes and is distributed from there. I mean, it's amazing. And all of that, and because it's in high definition and all, it takes anywhere from about 7 to 11 seconds for it to happen. I've always wondered, could you be in Vegas, and could you be at one location and then have somebody there at the book in Vegas and knowing that I got 11 seconds to get this done. I got 11 seconds, all right? I got 11 seconds to be Rain Man right here, all right? But I don't think that's possible. But what I'm going to share with you, and Coach Swinney, and they're in the middle of it right now, are what he calls his all-in meetings. For 4 days, 4 solid days, he packs it away with his entire staff. There'll be a group of about 60 guys that will be 60 men and women that will be in this meeting. And for 4 solid days, in minutia, he goes over everything that is associated with Clemson football. Everything. And I mean everything. Everybody gets up there. Everybody that plays a role gets up, speaks to the group about, all right, here's what we're going to do this year. Here's some of the plans. What are your thoughts? Some things are discussed. It's incredible. He has people from outside the program that come in. The police department, for instance, at Clemson comes in and talks to him about, you know, how they need to handle things, what's going on in Clemson, what's been added, what kind of security measures are going to be happening in the stadium, all of that kind of. It's really incredible, and it's something that you learn more and more about the program each and every year that you go through it. But one of the things that Coach did, and this he did back in 2013, he put together a page, and it was titled, "All I Really Know About How to Live and What to Do, I Learned in Football. I didn't find wisdom at the top of my graduate school mountain, but it came on the practice field or on the game field." And he put together, these are the things that he's learned, and these are the things that he applies to Clemson football. And they're also, though, the things that it can apply really to any business. One is that everybody has a role. Everybody has a role, and that is absolutely correct. 2, make sure you share the pain, but also make sure you share the triumphs. Coach has a great saying, the fun's in the winning. Believe me, that is absolutely the case. The fun is absolutely in the winning. Play by the rules. Better play by the rules, especially in business. If you don't play by the rules, somebody's going to come knocking. And you don't necessarily want the IRS or anybody in a government uniform necessarily coming and leaving and knocking on your door. Leave the program better than when you entered it. Leave your business better than when you entered. Give your teammates the credit due when you are praised for team accomplishments. And I think that is of vital importance in the business world. For a couple of years, I was actually the marketing manager for an engineering firm here in Greenville. And believe me, it was a group of about, when I first got on board, there were about 57 of us in the building. By the time that I actually left a couple of years later, there were 97 of us in the building. And one of the great things that the guy that owned the company and was the boss was that he made sure that he shared credit where credit was due and shared it across the board. Care about, and this is one of the things that when I heard Coach Swinney first say this, I was, what are you talking about? But care about the well-being of your opponent. How many of you actually care about the well-being of the people that you are going up against each and every day? But you should care about their well-being. You don't necessarily want to, I guess there are times where you just want to stomp the competition in the ground. I get that. But you also need to understand those are lives. Those are men and women who have husbands and wives or somebody that is dependent upon them at home, care about their well-being. Remember that hard work and sweat is good for you. So often, you got too many in this world that want to get by with doing the least that they can, but be able to recoup the most that they can. Doesn't work that way. Don't be afraid of hard work and sweat. Live a balanced life. Learn all you can. Think before you say or do. Enjoy the process as well as the victories. That means you got to enjoy the defeats as well as the victories. Have fun. Get better every day. Every now and then, make sure you take a break. That's the other thing that I'm very appreciative of Coach Swinney, and I've seen a lot of coaches in this business just because of my involvement since 1984 in the broadcast world and being around a lot of different head coaches, is that there's too many of them that just drive too hard. They believe in being there till 11 o'clock, midnight, each and every. There's no sense for that. There's no sense in that. Hire somebody to do their job. Let them do their job. And if they're not doing their job up to what you think, then you have the ability to make a change. But let them do their job. Let them have some time off. Let them know that they're appreciated. When you meet a superior opponent, hold hands with your teammates, work together. That's the only way you're going to win. I've seen that. I've definitely seen that happen. Last year, Clemson goes 14-0. They're entering the national championship game, and I had doing a lot of interviews. And some guy asked me, "Did you feel like that you were better than everybody else that you've played, getting to this point?" And the answer was no. Believe me, there are times when you know that the people across the way are better than you. But if you're able to hook up with your teammates, have a belief, have a support system that, hey, together we can get this done, we can get this done. And that's the way that it has turned out. That means you got to believe in your teammates. As I mentioned, don't try to do their job or your job is going to suffer. Maximum achievement. Maximum achievement is based on the hard work and sacrifice that you put in before the season. Coach calls it, he calls the springtime and the summer months. He has different names for those, but he calls that the building period. That's when his guys are getting ready. They're about to open up August camp. They'll open up August camp here on the 2nd of August and begin the process of getting ready for the season opener September 3rd at Auburn, and then obviously ready for the season. But it's those months between spring football and that August 2 date where you've got to build up things. Make sure that guys are in the best shape that they possibly can. The first and foremost thing that you learn is attitude. Once again, there it is, attitude. And Coach Swinney consistently stresses that. There's always to get your assignment done, even when your problem is bigger, faster, stronger than you are. Mike and I have been, obviously I've been keeping track with watching his battle. He can tell you, he's got an opponent that's probably bigger, stronger, faster. But he's also got people on his side who are helping him get through that. There's not a cure now. Is there going to be a cure? Probably. Probably. He's got to get to that point. He's got to make sure that he fights to keep getting to that point. Get up when you're knocked down. Boy, that was for 7 years I worked for myself. I was an independent contractor. I worked for myself. I did this, and I had a wife, a child. My child is a special needs child, has muscular dystrophy and autism. When she was born in 91 they told us at that time, maybe one of 10 children in the entire world with that dual diagnosis. So in 95, 96, I stepped down and went starting working for myself. Wasn't easy. Boy, you got knocked down. I got knocked down a ton. Knocked down a lot. But always got back up. Dust yourself up. Learn from the mistake. Move on. It's important, I think, in everything that you do. Believe in yourself. Never quit. Never, ever quit. We live in a world that does need hard work. That needs teamwork. That needs sacrifice. That needs trust in the people around you. Or as Coach likes to say, trust in his teammate. Also remember that no matter how old you are, I'm going to turn 55 in February. So chances are that, guess what? Half of my life is already behind me. But no matter how old that I am, that's going to be my attitude. It's not going to be the number of wins or number of the losses, but it's going to be my attitude that determines the rest of my life. Every day I try to strive and make sure that that I could do that. The other thing that Coach loves to stress is never put limits on your dreams. And he encourages his guys to dream. You as business leaders, doesn't matter how big the group, you should encourage your people to think about the things that they want, to think about the things that they want to do, that they want to accomplish, where they want to get, where they want to go. Don't be afraid to dream. Dream big. Dream as big as you possibly can think. Then try to go live out that dream. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Work harder than your competition. That's part of the dream. If you're going to dream big, then you better be prepared to work. You got to work harder than your competition. Don't take yourself too seriously either. Never take yourself so seriously. Believe me, it's just not worth it. Just not worth it. One of my favorite sayings, my dad was a minister. I'm a man of the Christian faith. One of my favorite sayings that I try to tell people is, how can I wash your feet? How can I wash your feet? If it was good in my mind, it's just me, but in my mind and what I believe and where I'm based, if it was good enough for Christ, then it ain't bigger than me. Be ready to wash somebody else's feet. Don't take yourself so seriously. Washing feet isn't pretty either. Some people have pretty nice feet. A lot of people out there who have ugly feet. All right? It's not easy, but be ready to do it. Don't make excuses. Be responsible for your own actions, for your own work, for your own happiness. Be responsible for yourself, and don't worry about who gets the credit. A great way to improve the team is to improve yourself. And I think that's just a basic principle that you have there. And you've got to have ethics. You must have ethics to last. If you're going to last in any business, you better have ethics to be able to do that. The other thing that Coach Swinney always is talking about with his players, and this is with his coaching staff. For 4 years, getting to sit in the middle of just about every staff meeting that happened inside Clemson football. I heard him say this 1,000 times. If you don't, they won't. If we don't, they won't. And it's very true. He used to get his coaching staff believes that that's the way that they operate with their players. I've seen coaches out there running drills. I've seen coaches out there, doing the things they have to do to stay in shape, because it's the way that they kind of drive their players. Coach has come up with this as kind of an adaptation of several things that he's been able to pick up. But this is one of the things that he always talks about with the staff, and I guarantee you he's covered it. It's one of the first things that he covers in the all-in meetings is that he says, I've come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in the gym, on the field, in the pool. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a coach, I possess tremendous power to make an athlete's life miserable or joyous. I can be the tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it's my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and an athlete humanized or dehumanized. I'm in control of them, and they can affect my passion for the game. Therefore, let me not forget that I need them just as bad as they need me. After all, we should all be one. One of the things I want to show you is that this was brought in the program by Chad Morris. This is a pyramid that Chad found someplace in a book that he was reading, but it's called Work Characteristics of the 3%. All right, you notice that down here is the bottom 87% of this pyramid. All right, is made of the bottom 27% is made up of people who just aren't going to make it. All right, these people are the problem. They've got no chance. They don't take the time to make goals. They don't take the time to get something, all they want to do is be able to get something for nothing. That's basically the bottom 27%. The next 60% When a problem comes along, these people hide and hope that maybe it will go away. They don't want to attack the problem. They just want to see the problem go away. Their goal is just to make it through. Just to make it through. You can't win with those problems. Now you got the top 13%. And those 13%, those are the people that you really want to have around you. 10%, not the top 3%, but now that 10% nugget, the stuff that's here in kind of purple or in blue. These people solve problems. Those are the people that you're always looking for. Doesn't matter if it's in sports, business, or life. You're always looking for people that solves problems. Their goal is to achieve. But the top 3%, the top 3% of all people now, these are the difference makers. These are the winners. These are the major game changers, all right? So the 10%, those people solve problems. The 3%er, these people seek problems. They're looking for problems to solve because they know, hey, if I'm consistently trying to get better and I'm trying to move my industry or my team to get better, then I've got to find the problems that are lying out there and get them solved. I love this. I love this pyramid. It's a thing that he believes in. It's a thing that he recruits by. It's a thing that he coaches by. And I think it's one of the reasons that the Clemson football has gotten to be where they are. Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but it becomes a habit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Oliver Wendell Holmes is quoted as saying that a man's mind, once strengthened by a new idea, never regains its original dimension. And one of the favorite sayings that Coach Swinney uses with his team all the time is, you know what, boys? It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. It wasn't raining when he built the ark. Noah was given a plan. Didn't know why, but he carried out that plan. Did it to the best of ability. If you want to know what your beliefs are, all you got to do is take a look at your actions. Just take a look at your daily actions. I mentioned that my father was a minister. Believing my mom, who's still living up in the Asheville area, my father passed away about 4 years ago, but my mom lives up in the Asheville area. I am probably, as I look back on my life and realize, I'm one of the fortunate few that was able to have a relationship with a father and a mother that went just beyond being a child, but it wasn't friendship. Right? It's not friendship, but I've come to a realization that everything that they basically did in discipline or praise or what was for my betterment. It wasn't until I was, I bet you I was 21 years old that I told my father that I loved him. My father used to tell me he loved me all the time, but I didn't tell him that and it just became, after that, just became habit. Still tell my mother every time I talked to her, Mom, love you. I had a mother that, as a minister's wife, believe me, a minister's wife is probably a lot different than most of you think. There's a lot of things that you got to do, a lot of politics, a lot of problems that you got to solve. But my mother has been very important to me. She always was telling me, you know what? If a thing is worth doing, do it right. If you think that it's worth your effort, make sure that if you're going to do it, that you do it right. And just don't give 99%. Just don't give 90%. Make sure you give 100%. That got me thinking, made me look up some things. Here's some things that if 99% were just good enough, do you know that 30,000 babies would be accidentally dropped by doctors and nurses? 30,000, if 99% was good enough. If 99% was good enough, electricity would be off 15 minutes every day. If 99% was good enough. If 99% was good enough, 12 newborns would be given to the wrong parents daily. Interesting story. When I was born in Atlanta, in Emory Hospital, I actually had the wrong wristband on my wrist. Don't ask me how but I had the wrong wristband. I think my father was the one that noticed. He came to visit me in the nursery, 1962, a little different than it is today. So back in those days, you're kept back in the nursery, though. But I had the wrong wristband on. He noticed, got things taken. My bassinet was marked correctly, but my wristband was wrong. If 99% was good enough, 18,322 pieces of mail would be mishandled daily. You know what? 99% may be actually right for the U.S. Postal Service. Maybe right. 2 plane crashes would happen every day at Chicago O'Hare Airport. 2 a day would go down if 99% was good enough. Be the best that you can, because 99% isn't good enough. Make sure you give 100%. Autograph your work with excellence. That's what you should try to do each and every day. Give your best. You'll reap the rewards of what you sow, so make sure that you give your best. And I want to kind of end things with this. This is something, I don't know if you know who John Gordon is. How many of you all know who John Gordon is? A guy that has written several books. I would encourage you that if you don't know, go to the internet, look it up. He's written about 10 or 12 different books. He comes and talks to the team. He's an inspirational author, inspirational speaker. One of the things that he put together was this thing called The Pledge. It came out maybe about a year and a half ago. John and I have gotten to be good friends through the association with Clemson football. He'll be on campus here the first part of August speaking to the team. But this is something I love. Negativity, he doesn't want anything to do with negativity. Negativity is out. He calls them energy vampires. That's his name for any kind of negativity. Don't want it. So he'll throw negativity right out the door. But this is his pledge. I pledge to be a positive person and positive influence on my family, friends, co-workers, and community. I promise to be positively contagious and share more smiles, laughter, encouragement, and joy with those around me. I vow to stay positive in the face of negativity. When I'm surrounded by pessimism, I will choose optimism. When I feel fear, I'll choose faith. When I want to hate, I'll choose love. When I want to be bitter, I will choose to get better. When I experience a challenge, I will look for opportunity to learn and grow. When faced with adversity, I will find strength. When I experience a setback, I'll be resilient. When I meet failure, I will fail forward towards future success. With vision, hope, and faith, I will never give up and will always move forward towards my destiny. I believe my best days are ahead of me, not behind me. I believe I'm here for a reason and my purpose is greater than my challenges. I believe that being positive not only makes me better, it makes everyone around me better. So today and every day, I'll be positive and strive to make a positive impact on the world. This hangs in my office. I keep this in my office. You can go find it on the internet. All you got to do is Google John Gordon, The Pledge, and then click on images and you'll find it right there. If you want to print it out and put it up, it's right there. But this hangs in my office each and every day. Believe me, it's how you treat others. If you want something to happen good in your life, go treat others well. Make a relationship. It's all about relationships. That's the thing that separates Clemson football from anything else, and you hear Coach Swinney talk about it all the time. It's about relationships. It's about relationships in recruiting. It's about relationships on his staff. It's about relationships that are built inside the athletic department, inside the university, inside the community. It's what it is all about, and I would tell you that probably is the thing that if you're looking to better yourself, you're looking to improve your business, especially if you're a business owner or a boss or the head of a division, start washing the feet of others. And you will definitely find out that where your business is now will be nowhere close to what it's going to be 12 months from now or 36 months from now or in your 5-year plan, what 5 years it is from now. Life is only going to get better. Don't deal with the negative. We have too much of that. Goodness gracious, look at what's going on in Philadelphia and what happened in Cleveland last week. It's too much negativity. Too much negativity. Our own country is at a crossroads. How are we going to get out of it? I don't know the answer. But I know one thing. If it's up to me, I'm going to move through it positively. I'm not going to think about the negative that is out there. No time to waste on that. Thank you for having me. Come see us in Clemson. If any of you all would ever like a tour of Clemson, I do this all the time. All right? Call me. Email me. Love to take you around. Show you around the facilities. Get you a bit of a taste field. Bring your kids, bring the grandkids, the wife, the daughter, son, whatever. We'll take them around, we'll show it off to you. We love doing that. They should have my information within that you can contact me. I've got an email, telephone number. Call me, we'll set it up. Love to have you come and see us, all right? Thank you so much for having me.